Hey y'all, it's Megan. Thanks for stopping on over to another video. This week's topic is not going to be nearly as fun as all the rest of mine, but I thought it was a really important topic to talk about, especially during Pride Month and amidst this whole JoJo and Fletcher dramas, situations that are going on right now. And that is bisexual and queer erasure, especially during Pride Month, and the mindset that if you are in a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, you are no longer a part of the community, and that's not true. So let's talk about it. Okay, so for JoJo, just about everyone and their mom knows what's going on there. JoJo had a girlfriend, has publicly identified as a lesbian, and went to Big Brother and is now dating the male co-star, I don't know. I don't watch Big Brother. But anyway, she's now dating a man, right? And she now identifies as queer. That's the situation for JoJo. And then Fletcher is a queer artist who has always identified as a queer woman, at least as far back as I've been able to tell, always publicly identified as queer, has stated that she has dated men and women, and that she doesn't particularly like a label, but queer is what she would describe herself as, and that she's attracted to strong feminine energy, which just so happens to usually be exuded by women. That's what she said. And then about 3 or 4 days ago, at this point of filming, she released a song called Boy, which is about her unexpectedly finding love with a man who she is now dating, even though she has only publicly been in relationships with women the last 10 years. So everyone is very upset that she decided to come out with this information during Pride Month, and Fletcher came out with boy merch again during Pride Month. And people really didn't like that she was promoting her straight passing relationship during Pride Month, especially with this merch, and that she was making money off of it, even though the proceeds to all of her merch for Boy is going to a trans youth charity, so we support that. And there are a bunch of people online that are describing it as her straight era, which I really take kind of offense to, and we'll be discussing that more a little bit later. And listen, it's valid to have concerns or be upset about certain aspects of the JoJo situation and the Fletcher whole situation right now. It's okay to have problems with the song in general if you don't like the song, if you don't like the merch, or just valid concerns about them as people, I guess. That's completely fine. But what we're not going to do is claim that queer women are now straight because they're in a relationship with men, because that's not what that means. What do y'all think the B and the Q stand for in LGBTQ+? Because it doesn't stand for bicycles and Quaker Oats. I'll tell you that. And I get it. Not everyone that is upset with Fletcher coming out with Boy is being biphobic or queerphobic. Like, not at all. But a lot of people are, even if they aren't necessarily meaning to. But calling this JoJo and Fletcher's straight eras is gross. And it feels like we're kind of erasing part of the community. Especially because Fletcher has always, like I said, publicly identified as queer. A lot of people assumed she was lesbian, but she has never, again, at least as far as I've seen, she's never identified herself publicly as a lesbian. Heck, JoJo's still a baby. No, she's not a baby. She's an adult. I understand that. But in terms of adulthood, she's still very young, And I think it's okay to find yourself and explore your sexuality, and, you know, realize that you may have thought you were one thing and later you found out you were another. That's fine. We're always evolving as humans. Now, there are definitely some certain things in that situation I don't love. Don't support cheating at all. I don't like really how any of that situation has come out. But what I'm not going to do is say this is her straight era, because even recently she's identified herself as queer. And I'm not going to tell someone what their identity is, because that's weird. And Fletcher still identifies as queer. Even though she is dating a man, she is still queer. And a lot of people have been blatant about it online. Here are a few tweets or whatever they are called now regarding both Fletcher and JoJo dating men. Trump's barely been in office 100 days and Jojo Siwa is already straight again. So Chris Hughes turned Jojo Siwa straight. Jojo Siwa spending like the whole of last year making her gayness her whole personality with bad girl era music, only to get to Pride Month and turn straight, is insane levels of irony. The concept of a straight Jojo Siwa at the start of Pride Month. Jojo Siwa hard launches her straight era right in the middle of Pride Month. The concept of Tokyo Tony being gay while Jojo Siwa is straight. Montage of Jojo Siwa being straight is going viral. I feel like the culture is not appreciating how funny it is that Jojo Siwa canceled someone for saying she'd become straight, and then a guy came to comfort her and made her straight. Jojo turned straight from lesbian. Fletcher coming out as a queer baiter was really not on my bingo card this year. Wait, so Fletcher is straight now and goes by Carrie? Now, why Fletcher got a song with the hook of I Kissed a Boy, Jojo Siwa straight epidemic. Fletcher coming out as straight during Pride Month? Fletcher coming out as straight during Pride Month? And please don't get me started on JoJo. After Jojo Siwa and Carrie Fletcher entered straight trad wife era during Pride Month, every lesbian in the world is now looking at Chappell Roan like... So for Fletcher, she is still a queer woman celebrating her love, and regardless of who that love is towards, she is still queer. And I can attest to the fact that being with a man does not make me any less bisexual. I love women, and I am still a part of the community, and I am still valid, even if I am in a straight passing relationship. Okay, that's that. Like, and Fletcher writes in her song, and it's a part that people are having a bad time with, is basically her saying that she's scared of what people will think because she's only been with women for the last 10 years. And people are upset that she's coming out as being with a man and pretending that being with a man is gonna get her crucified, even though in this current administration in the US, really it's just a dangerous time for anyone that doesn't look like they're in a straight passing relationship. But I don't think that's what Fletcher was saying. I think she was saying, hey, everyone has always seen me this way, even though I've identified as queer. Everyone's always seen me this way, and I've only written songs about women, and now I'm with a man, and I want to write songs about who I love now, just like I did in the last 10 years. I've written about who I love at the time. Now that love just happens to be towards a man, and I'm scared of how my audience is going to react. And a lot of her audience has reacted very poorly. Some, like I showed, just straight up being assholes about it, and not even about the fact that the song, it's not, I don't think it's the best song. And I think the merch, I don't think the merch is great. I don't think it looks good, and that's my opinion on it. I think she was just scared of how people would react for her going outside of her norm and writing songs about a man when her audience has only known her to be with women. despite her always identifying as queer, and despite her having a line in one of her songs about about a man, you know, like she's written primarily about women, but that's because that's who she loves, and that's who she loved at the time, and now she loves someone else, so she's gonna write songs about someone else regardless of who that is, and she is still a valid part of the community, and I'm tired of hearing otherwise. And like, personally, as a bisexual, I've heard this type of rhetoric from all sides. I've heard it from other bisexuals. I've heard it from lesbians. I've heard it from straight people. I've heard this kind of rhetoric that if you're not in a relationship with someone of the opposite gender, that you are, they don't directly say you're not valid, but it very much feels like it, and it's very big a bi-erasure situation, at least in my case, because yeah, I'm bisexual, and it's just harmful. You know, no one wants to hear that, and it's honestly, it's baffling to me, because for me, the B's right there, and for Fletcher and JoJo, the Q's right there. Like, it's right there in the whole phrase. So I don't know, just maybe think about who is most affected by the rhetoric that you are spewing regarding people being in their straight era, despite the fact that they're not straight, and they won't be in their straight era because they're not straight. And listen, like I said, there are plenty of reasons to be upset with JoJo, and there's plenty of reasons to be upset with Fletcher. But there's no need to erase their identities. And in the case of JoJo, people are allowed to figure their shit out. Like, again, there's plenty to be upset with about that whole situation. Regarding JoJo and Chris, I think. Regarding that whole situation. But let's not criticize someone who like came out publicly very young as a public figure for figuring their shit out. Like, there's nothing wrong with that particular part of this situation. She still identifies as a part of the community because she's still a part of the community. Despite, it doesn't matter who she's with because she's still a part of the community. I don't know, guys. Just criticize things that are like valid to be criticized about, not someone's identity or who they love. That's weird. You know, it's gross. I think that's all I have to say on the situation. And listen, maybe I am missing the mark on certain things, and I tried to do a bunch of research on this because I really wasn't understanding that part about people being upset with Fletcher and about JoJo, really. And I just wasn't understanding it, and I was trying to figure out if there's something I'm missing, and as far as I could see, there's not. There are some valid points to be upset about with, like I said, the merch, even if it is going to a good cause, or even if you don't like the song in general, like, that's fine. I didn't particularly love, like, I'm not gonna listen to it ever again. But that's not because of who Fletcher is, it's just because it wasn't my vibe. And if there, you know, like I said, if I am missing the mark, feel free, let me know down in the comments. If you could just keep it respectful. I love learning new perspectives, and you know, I would love to expand my mind on it if there are certain aspects that I'm missing or that I just didn't think all the way through. I'd love to hear from you. And I appreciate y'all for sticking it out through this video, and I hope you leave a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. That would be super cool, and I'll see y'all again next week. Bye. Just let queer and bisexual women be queer and bisexual women, and let us still celebrate our love and our queerness and our bisexualness during Pride Month. Because we're still proud of who we are, even if we're dating someone of the opposite gender currently. And that's that.